Hello, good morning. It is the 5th of October 2020. Now, I promised that I would give you some kind of update after the election, and to be exactly clear, the election is not over yet. Okay, the election was on the 3rd of November, and that was the day before yesterday, so we are the third day into the election now, and it hasn't been called for any candidate, either Joe Biden or Donald Trump, to win the election. So the election is still in play. But I think everybody can see that the trend, or what's going to happen is pretty clear. Joe Biden's probably going to win the election more often than not, at least over 50% of the chance to win the election. So I figured I'll give you some kind of, let's say a walkthrough of the whole process, the things I can remember, because I've been following the election since the afternoon of November the 3rd, watching TV, the vote counts on the internet, comments, whatever. Just, I wouldn't say closely watched, but fairly comprehensively understanding what has been going on in this election. Okay, so let's get to that. Oh, first of all, I want to let you know that I got a girlfriend yesterday, and we've been dating for like 2-3 weeks, and we're just really into each other, and why not make it official? So that was a pretty happy day. I'm almost I would almost say that 2020 is the best year ever, because a lot of people would say that 2020 is the worst year ever. Was the COVID, was the the election is a mess or whatever. Mainly the COVID, but for me, I don't care. I'm not single anymore. Probably won't be single forever, hopefully. So I'm pretty giggly at this moment. Anyways, so let's get to the business here. So I would just be telling you what I felt when the election, goes its way, through time. On November the 3rd, first few hours of the election are pretty dull. You would have the usually blue state filling blue, red state filling red. No surprises there. The first big surprise was Florida. Now, I remember in the polls that Florida has Joe Biden leading in about 1 or 2 points. Now, that's definitely not safe. Donald Trump still, if you believe the polls, that Donald Trump has still have a. By the way, I'm not sick or having a cold or anything. Just in the first few hours of getting up in the morning, my voice would always sound a little bit of a numb, because the nose. It's a thing that I have. It's nothing. Okay, so I got tested by COVID and it was always negative, so don't worry about it. So what was I saying? Okay, Florida. Yeah, Florida has Joe Biden in the polls leading by 1 or 2 points. Now, that's, of course, definitely not safe. Joe Biden could still lose the election in Florida. But Donald Trump eventually won by, I think, 4 points? 4 or 5 points. It was 47-51 or something like that. And that was astonishing. A lot of people had hope that Donald Trump's campaign will be done the moment he loses Florida, because there's simply no way that Donald Trump will win the election by not winning Florida. There's just no pathway for him, okay? But Donald Trump actually wins Florida pretty comfortably in the early votes. Okay, so one of the things about this election that's so different from the other elections is that the time that each state counts the mail-in vote and the early vote are different. It's different, sorry. For example, Florida counts them really early, and in states like Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, they count them last. Okay, in states like Nevada, they're counting it today, like 2 days after the election. So it's really different because there has been a huge difference between the Democrat-Republican ratio in the mail-in votes and the in-person vote on election day. So, how you count them, the order you count them, the two different kinds of votes matters a lot when it comes to, the trend of how the races is going to. For example, in Florida, I believe they count the mail-in vote first because, I don't know why, but apparently they want to do that. And when you count the mail-in vote first, in the mail-in vote, you have overwhelmingly amount of votes that is for the Democrat Party, for Joe Biden. So in the very early counting, because you can count the early vote really early. I mean, they arrive and you count them, you just put them in the column or whatever. So in a very early vote, when the in-person vote on election are not counted for Florida, it seemed that Joe Biden has a big advantage in the state of Florida. You have him 60-40 even at some point. So that would be called a blue mirage. Mirage is one of the physical situations where you see something in like a building or a beautiful city in the desert, but it's not actually there because some kind of optical illusion. I don't want to go into that, but blue mirage, because you haven't counted the votes that are overwhelmingly pro-Republican yet. It seems at the moment you're winning, but you're not. It's simply, when all the votes are counted in, that's when the results are out. So over the night, Florida got picked up by Trump steadily, a little bit by a little bit. When the in-person vote counted, eventually Trump won by 4 or 5 points, if I remember correctly. Now that was a big slap in the face for the Democrats, for the pollsters, because it seems that it's another it's like an early sign of how we're repeating what happened in 2016. Okay, in 2016, all the states Donald Trump was leading, even by a little bit, he eventually won comfortably. All the states that Clinton was leading, like Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, eventually won by Donald Trump. There's a huge bias for Donald Trump in the 2016 poll. Now, when you see what happened in Florida this year, excuse me, I need to eat a piece of apple. Excuse me. So, when you see what happened in Florida this year, it seemed that what happened in 2016 is going to happen again. Because if you say, Joe Biden was leading in 1 or 2, 2 points in Florida before the election, and he lost by 4 or 5 points. That's a 6-7 point bias for Donald Trump, almost the same as Donald Trump had in 2016. So everybody was thinking, wow, posters got it wrong this time. So Donald Trump could still win, and he might very well win. And it seems to be true at one point of the night. Actually, let me get to this later. So Florida was called to Trump really early in the night. And, and then other blue states are feeling blue, red states feeling red, pretty dull, not much to talk about. Okay, at one point it was pretty funny and interesting. Just like literally 1 minute after the poll stations are closed in the West Coast, California was being called to the Democrat Party. There's not even any vote, data yet. It's just the ABC. I was watching ABC Live, and they just put California into the Democrat column. Now everybody knows what's going on. There's no way that California is going to go red. So they don't even bother to have any kind of statistics to back their call. Anyways, other interesting state of Ohio. Okay, state of Ohio is also another state that they probably count the mail-in vote first, because in the very beginning, Donald Trump is losing in the state of Ohio. The commentators are like talking about, this is done for Donald Trump, because Ohio is even redder than the blue wall than the Rust Belt states. If Ohio can go to Biden, then there's no way Donald Trump is going to win the Rust Belt, and he need to win the Rust Belt to win the election. But as the night progresses, Donald Trump won Ohio, just like the way he wins Florida. The in-person vote got counted, and they're overwhelmingly pro-Republican. So Donald Trump is picking up the states that he needs to win: Florida, Ohio, and actually at this moment the state of North Carolina and Georgia are not being called yet. But I think Donald Trump's going to win both of them. And they're all states that he seems to be losing in the beginning because they count the mail-in vote first, and Joe Biden seemed to have a blue mirage in the very beginning, and he eventually lost those advantages because they counted the in-person vote. So that's a very, very important point for this election. Donald Trump is being a little bitch when this effect goes his way. By his way I means when they keep counting the votes, he got he flipped the advantage that Joe Biden had and has lead in those states. He likes that, but when in other situations where I will be talking about later, like Michigan, Wisconsin, and now Pennsylvania is still counting the vote, but Michigan, Wisconsin is already going blue at this moment. And Donald Trump hates that. He had a big lead or comfortably in those states in the very beginning. That's only because they counted the in-person vote, which is pro him at first, but when they count the mail-in vote after that, he lost the advantage. So Donald Trump was really like a fucking little kid, like a how do you say, like a person who doesn't respect the rules, a person who wanted both ways. When it goes his way, he likes it. When it doesn't go his way, the same rule, he opposes it. At this moment, just like 2 minutes ago, he was tweeting on Twitter saying that, oh, stop the vote count. What he actually means is that stop the vote count where he's leading and keep the vote counting where he's losing. All right, that's what he really means. Because if we close the vote count at this moment, Joe Biden would be winning the presidency by 270 or 271 electoral college votes. That's obviously not what Donald Trump means, because there's no way he's conceding, right? Okay, anyway, where was I? Got a little bit distracted. So election night, Donald Trump seemed to have a really comfortable lead in the electoral college vote. He was picking Florida, he was picking Ohio, he was picking seems to be leading in. Oh, he also picked Texas. Now, usually in a normal year, Texas wouldn't even be play, but this year it was. Joe Biden at some point was trailing only about 1 point or half a point or something, but eventually Texas went to red, as I was expecting, because there's no way that Texas was going to turn blue. I had some hope on it when I see the record million vote million vote numbers in the state of Texas, but if you really think about it, it's something that eventually would happen, I think, in another election, maybe another 3 elections. We'll see about that at the time, but this year it's not going to happen. So Donald Trump picked Texas, which is understandable. He was picking up and leading all the states that he needs to get. Texas, Ohio, Georgia. He was leading Georgia and North Carolina. He picked up Florida. So that was when things get a little bit unsettled for people who are supporting Joe Biden. It seems like, oh my God, first of all, the landslide of Joe Biden, the possibility of Joe Biden winning in a landslide, is gone. There's no fucking way that Joe Biden wins over 350 electoral college votes. It's gone. There's no, because he was leading in North Carolina, and he was pretty much neck and neck in Georgia. He was leading in Florida. All those states went to Donald Trump without a doubt. Okay, so the pollsters got it wrong again this time. I think they should fire themselves all over the country. If you get 2 major elections in this country wrong consecutively, then what's the point of doing your job? Just go sell donuts in McDonald's or something. Do they sell donuts in McDonald's? I don't think so. And Dunkin' Donuts, right? So doesn't matter. Anyway, so it was surprising, but not really that surprising. So the election was still in play. It comes to these states eventually. So, I want to mention this for a second. So the state of Virginia, which are pretty safe blue, or at least leading blue before the election, as it was in every single elections in the past, at least recent elections. But at a moment, it seems that Donald Trump's leading really comfortably in the state of Virginia. If you look online on the comments, people are talking about, oh, the pollsters are wrong. Just take a look at Virginia. Donald Trump is winning in Virginia, blah, blah, blah. And then after the mailing vote got counted, the state of Virginia was won by Joe Biden really comfortably. The process took like 30 minutes. I was really closely watching that because I was also a little bit confused about the state of Virginia because I don't know the laws of every state, how they count the votes. So I can only assume that because Virginia was flipped by Joe Biden really fast after the mailing vote was counted, they count the mailing vote last. So this election was really confusing because the results at some point are not indicative at all. They can be completely changed. So I just wanted to point that out to lay some ground for the things I'm going to talk about later. So the turning point of the election on election night was the state of Arizona. Now, Arizona was won by Donald Trump last election 4 years ago, and I think it has been won by Republicans in the past few elections. Now this year is turning blue. Now Arizona has 11 electoral college votes, if I remember correctly, and on election night, it was pretty clear that Joe Biden has a commanding lead in the state of Arizona. Now, that's really critical because at the moment, if you think about it, Joe Biden has a clear pathway after we assume that he wins the state of Arizona. He can win Arizona, and he can win the state of Nevada, which is pretty safe. I heard the Donald Trump campaigner after the second day of election, and they say that, oh, we still have a pathway to the election. We need to win Arizona and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Michigan, I think, or whatever. Oh no, just Arizona and Pennsylvania and North Carolina and Georgia. So they're putting the chance of winning the state of Arizona higher than the state of Nevada, which at the time Nevada is leading by Joe Biden by less than half a point, and Joe Biden is leading Arizona by 3 points. So they think that they can win Arizona more likely than Nevada, even though they had a smaller, they had a bigger trailing in the state of Arizona. So that tells you something about how the state of Arizona has voted in the past. They have been voting consistently with Republicans, but this year Joe Biden flipped it. Now, at that point, it seems like the things are really turning for Joe Biden because it has been nothing but bad news for him. He's losing all the states that he can potentially win to make his election easier, but he has been, losing all those states. Like I said, Texas, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Ohio. So it's really, like a slap in the face for Donald Trump. So at that point, the situation of the election was Joe Biden needs to win the state of Arizona, the state of Nevada, and then all the blue wall states. Actually, not even all of them, like 2 out of 3. Okay, so Joe Biden can win the state of Michigan, the state of Wisconsin, and even without the state of Pennsylvania, he will be reaching 270 electoral college votes, which is the minimum you need to win the election. So that started to look really good for Joe Biden because he was really leading a lot in the Rust Belt states, in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. I believe in the final polls before the election day, Joe Biden was leading in Wisconsin and Michigan by 8 points, and Pennsylvania by 5 points. That was a pretty commanding lead. But again, something seems to be similar. After that, something seemed to be similar in 2016 happened, which is that all 3 states are really red when the votes start to come in. Okay. That was probably the darkest time in this election. Oh, well, when I say darkest, it means that you're pro-Democrats instead of Republicans. If you're a Republican, that will probably be the best. Excuse me, I've been talking nonstop. Not because I got a cold or COVID or anything. Okay. Oh, I could get COVID. I don't know. I did a lot of kissing yesterday. That was pretty fun. Anyways. So as I was saying, that the moment where the votes in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan started to get in, that was the darkest moment of the campaign for a Democrat supporter. Of course, that's the brightest moment of the campaign if you're a Republican supporter, if you're a Donald Trump supporter. Because, if you see on the internet, the social medias, my friends on posting stuff on WeChat, they're like, oh my God, it's done. Donald Trump did it again. Oh my God, I feel so bad for Joe Biden. I mean, just all this whining and complaining and bitching, everything. That is because this is very important that the rest of states, all 3 of them, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, they count the mail-in vote last. Okay, they count the in-person vote first, which, like I said, over and over and over, are overwhelmingly pro-Republican. So, and the difference is really big. The mail-in vote, they're like 70, 80, even some counties 90% pro Joe Biden, and and the percentage of mail-in vote is really big. It's like over 50%. Okay, so if you have half of the votes are really 90% pro Joe Biden now counted in the first place, of course you would have a red mirage. At the moment, of course you would see Donald Trump's leading. Okay. So I wasn't worried about this at all. Okay, my friend Alan actually texted me a few times saying, oh my God, man, what's going on? I'm so worried. I have to comfort him saying, look, man, don't worry. It's still early, blah, blah, blah. The votes for Joe Biden are going to be counted in, so just wait and be patient. And eventually that did happen. I'll talk about it in a second. So I stayed up to watch the election around 2:30 a.m. in the morning. In the morning, I mean November the 4th, because I was kind of waiting for the two candidates, Joe Biden and Donald Trump, to give some kind of speech or statement, because they usually do. Okay, in a really clear year election, some of them will declare victory, some of them would be conceding, and that's pretty much how the election is over. But this year, I know that was not going to happen. But so Joe Biden came out and said something first, which is a really good sign. Okay, I'm pro Democrat, to be clear. So when I say a good sign, it means it's a good sign for Joe Biden. All right, he said, and I'm trying to paraphrase, like, we have a clear pathway to victory. It's not calling yet. Everyone need to be counted. All the rhetoric stuff like that. But we have a very clear pathway to victory. The votes in Wisconsin and Michigan are, is temporarily pro-Republican. That's what we expected. When the mail-in vote, which are pro-us, come in, we'll be winning those states. And state of Pennsylvania as well will be winning that, even though he was trailing by Donald Trump. He was trailing Donald Trump by like 14 points in Pennsylvania, which is scary. Right now, I think Pennsylvania still hasn't been caught. It's like 86% of votes counting in, and Joe Biden is trailing by 2 points, which is, is catching up. I don't know, eventually it will be catching up and lead, but it's still in play. Anyways, so Joe Biden made that a statement. It seems to me that he was confident. He thinks he can still win. No, I shouldn't say that. He thinks he can win. I mean, he can still win means that he's losing, but he was not losing. He just didn't win as big as everybody thought he would. The 350 landslide or 400 landslide. It's not gonna happen. So Joe Biden made this statement pretty early in the evening. I think past 12 p.m., 12 a.m. Sorry, which one is it? Like midnight. Okay, and then Donald Trump didn't say anything, and that was actually really surprising to me, because Donald Trump is someone, if he has some kind of hope, he would just come out and then multiply it by 10 and say it to everybody. But he didn't. Waited and waited and waited. Eventually, at around 2:30, Donald Trump went out and said something. Okay, first of all, I don't know if you noticed, but he doesn't really sound confident at all. Okay, he doesn't really have that smirky smile on his face, like lock him up. It's just that feeling, the vibe Donald Trump always gives when he's confident. He doesn't have that at all. Of course, he has to say things that Donald Trump would say, like elections are fraud or winning it. He's always saying contradictory things like fraud, but we're winning it, so you're winning a fraud campaign, whatever. It doesn't matter. So Donald Trump said something that really shocked everybody, but not really shocked everybody. Like, people expected, but they're still shocked. He said, we should be winning this election, and frankly, we did win it. When the election hasn't been called by anybody else, he's already declaring victory and saying, "Stop the vote count." It's like, really, Donald Trump is the kind of person you wanted to really stab him with a knife, like, motherfucker, what are you saying? So you can't just you're a fucking bastard who says that stop the vote count when you're in the lead. What the fuck is wrong with you? You have no respect for the rules. Anyway, so I felt pretty good after seeing Donald Trump's statement, because I know that he doesn't have it in the bag. Even though that it went pretty bad for Joe Biden in the night, Donald Trump seems to be winning every state he needs to win. He's leading every state he needs to lead, but he's not confident at all. Okay, so I went to sleep after that. Not rattled at all. I'm pretty confident that when the mail-in vote comes in, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania will be flipped. So next morning, I woke up at 7 o'clock, I think, because you can't really go to sleep when there's such an important thing that is happening, especially when I have like $2,500 on Joe Biden's pool. All right, it's really money on the line. So next morning, in the morning of November the 4th, when I woke up, something amazing, not so amazing, happened. Joe Biden already flipped the state of Wisconsin. He was leading at the point less than 1% at the time in the state of Wisconsin, like really, really close. But he was leading. He flipped the state of Wisconsin because of mail-in votes, and the state of Michigan, he was trailing by 0.6%, I believe. And last night he was, trading by 6-7. I forgot how many points. Just a big lose at the time. So that tells you pretty clearly that how this election works in so many different states. Some states they count the mail-in vote first. Joe Biden will have a lead, and eventually Donald Trump have a chance to pick up. And in some states like the Rust Belt states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Joe Biden would be able to pick up after his votes got counted in. Now, of course, Donald Trump, that motherfucker would say, "Oh my God, how is this possible? I was leading, and just suddenly, out of nowhere, magic happened, and Joe Biden's leading all the states." Of course, that's how counting works, motherfucker. Just Donald Trump is the kind of person that he knows he's wrong. Everybody knows he's wrong, and he just have to come out and say it, try to confuse those people, or just give those people who knows he's wrong but want to support him anyway a message. In that way, he's smart, but I just really hate him. So suddenly, the election looks completely different right now from last night. So at the time, like I said, Joe Biden was leading in Wisconsin, and he's only going to lead more because, the more mail-in votes got counted, his lead is only going to expand instead of shrink. And he was trailing only by less than half a point in the state of Michigan. Eventually, he will pick up state of Michigan, as he did eventually. I already know that at the time. So suddenly the situation looks really different. I was almost going to call it after the next morning 7 a.m. because it seems that as long as Joe Biden picked up state of Arizona, which was already called by some medias like the Associated Press, ABC hasn't called it until like right now. They haven't called it right now, but Associated Press called Arizona for Joe Biden already, and so Joe Biden only need to pick up state of Arizona, which he already did according to some sources, and the state of Nevada, which I think eventually will be because the state of Nevada is traditionally leading blue battleground state, and without the mail-in vote getting counted, he's already leading by less than 1%. So after the mail-in vote got counted, he's only going to lead more. I'm convinced of that. And he needs to win Wisconsin and Michigan. That's the only 4 states he needs to win, and he's winning election by 1 electoral college vote. 2 electoral college vote. It would be 270 to 268. So it was clear to me at the time that Joe Biden is getting this election in the bag, pretty much. So I was pretty happy. To be honest, I was a little worried because you don't know. I know that Joe Biden is going to be picking up some of the losses when the mail-in vote got counted, but I don't know how much. Eventually, are they enough to overcome the early advantage that Donald Trump had? But at that moment, the next morning, I was pretty convinced that Joe Biden is going to win. Not by a big margin, not by a landslide, of course, not even by a comfortable lead like 330, just barely 270. That's probably what's going to happen eventually. Now, he was trailing in the state of Georgia, but it was still in play. He was trailing by in the state of North Carolina, was still in play. He was trailing by in the state of Pennsylvania, but it's still in play. But he doesn't really need all those states, and he can still win the election. And through the day, I was still watching the race pretty closely. The state of Michigan, like I said, no surprise, got flipped by Joe Biden. It was called later in the day, called blue, and the state of Wisconsin was called blue. So really, at this moment, this is the 5th of November because the state of Nevada did not count the mail-in vote yesterday. So we're still counting the votes. All Joe Biden needs to win at this time is the state of Nevada, which I think is pretty safe. Okay, so then Joe Biden will be the next president of the United States by a very, very, very 2 votes or 3 votes narrow margin. Now, Donald Trump is, of course, already brought up lawsuits and the recount request in the state of Wisconsin, but it's not going to go his way. Wisconsin has 20,000 votes, I think. Joe Biden has 20,000 more votes than Donald Trump. It's not going to go his way. It's too much to overcome by a recount. So this is pretty much the state of this election. To be clear, it hasn't been called yet. I think in Friday will be, which is tomorrow. At the time, and then there will be some kind of drama caused by Donald Trump by not wanting to accept the results. Bring up lawsuits, bring up recount or whatever. American people will be suffered because of his stupidity and his, motherfuckery. I'm not even sure that's a word, but eventually Joe Biden will be winning this election. Now, would the Democrat establishment take the lesson of, they actually picked up a wrong candidate? Even though Joe Biden won, was supposed to be winning in the end, but it was a really, really close race, closer than it should be. But they're probably not going to learn the lesson that they picked the wrong candidate. They're probably saying, oh, we picked the right candidate. See, we told you he was electable in the first place, that he was. It just makes me so frustrating, because I do believe that if you pick Bernie Sanders on this race, you would win really easily and comfortably. Because one thing that you probably haven't noticed in this election, is that young people's turnout are not actually as high as you want them to be. They're pretty much staying the same as last time. If you think about it, that's actually reasonable, because why should they come out and vote? All right, why should they? None of the things that they care about, none of the issues they care about, Medicare for all, legalized marijuana, living wage, none of the things they care about actually got brought up by Joe Biden. Joe Biden's running a fucking mask. He literally, in the end days of the campaigning, he was literally running on, we should wear a mask. Because, yes, we should, but come on, man, you're running for the president of the United States. You should have some other ideas than wearing a fucking mask, which is, only a dumbass like Donald Trump would argue with you. So, I don't really care, but I'm just saying the state of the situation is that Joe Biden will be winning the election. Democrats are not getting the Senate. They're even losing a few seats on the House. They're still maintaining the control of the House, but they're losing a few seats out of the House. So the Congress is divided, and Joe Biden is like, I feel like halfway incompetent because of his age and his health situation. So it'll be some form of victory. By victory, I mean they got Donald Trump out of the office. They probably will be. But a clear lose for the left, clear lose for young people, and only a win for the Democrat establishment and centrist. Now, I don't really care, because I'm not an American. I only, live here temporarily, probably. But it's pretty sad. Now, I'm not going to complain, because if everything goes through, I'm going to winning my wager money. I think around $1,500. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. I'll do something. I'll make another video when eventually the result is coming out by called by the major news networks, ABC, CBS, CNN, or whatever, to make it official. But at this moment, that's pretty much all I have to say. Yeah. I'm just really happy right now. When you're with someone that you really like, you're picturing futures together with her, like silly stuff, like even like getting married, have kids, and then visiting your friends' families, and just spending, like, you can't stop thinking that. And I think only in that situation you have the right person, instead of just to be someone because you want to be with someone. I don't know. Yeah. So. Okay. Yeah, they're still counting the votes in Nevada. They're probably going to count it today. So if Nevada has been called to Joe Biden, then I believe the election will be officially over. Now, the state of state of Pennsylvania still have Joe Biden still have a chance, because now he's trailing only by 2 points. And there are over 10% of vote that are not counted in. So he has a pretty solid chance of picking up Pennsylvania as well. If Joe Biden, okay, so the best case scenario, I want to add this before I end this video. The best case scenario for Joe Biden would be, realistically, would be he's winning state of Nevada. He has it in the back, in my opinion. He also wins the state of Pennsylvania. And he also wins the state of Georgia. Okay, I don't think he's going to win North Carolina. Not a chance. But let's say he wins Pennsylvania and Georgia. Georgia has 16. Let me ask, hey Google, how many electoral college votes does Georgia has?
2020 U.S. presidential election results for Georgia. According to the Associated Press, Donald Trump leads with 49.6% of the vote. The Associated Press hasn't yet called this race.
Okay, that was not what I was asking. Google can be silly most of the times. Anyways, if he wins Pennsylvania and Nevada, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Georgia, he will be having a final electoral college vote for Pennsylvania has 20, Georgia let's say 16 because I don't remember. So 36 plus 270, that'll be a 306 electoral college vote that Joe Biden has. That's pretty much the same that Donald Trump had 4 years ago. That's a comfortable win, I would say. I'm thinking about pinning 350 would be a landslide already. 320 would be a big win, like a solid win. 3 plus 306 will be a comfortable win, and then 270 will be just like a neck and neck win. Now, one thing we haven't talked about is the national, national votes. Joe Biden is having, I believe, at the moment 50.5% to Donald Trump's 48%, and it's only going to go wider when the rest of the mail-in vote got counted. I think eventually, if I have to project, that Joe Biden is going to win by 3 to 4 points nationally. That's actually not a bad win. Okay, if you win 3 or 4 points nationally, that's Obama won it pretty much by that margin, probably even a little less, but he won the electoral college pretty comfortably, 350, 320. So, I wouldn't say Joe Biden ran a very, very horrible campaign. It wasn't really good, but it's an acceptable result for everybody who choose to vote for him. Okay, obviously the country is still divided, heavily divided. In my opinion, caused by those stupid people who think Donald Trump is kind of a hero. Just really, I have no tolerance for people who are that stupid. I hate stupid people even more than I hate evil people sometimes. Anyway, I'll be talking to you when the result is final, and I'll see you until then. Peace out.